someone's got to prove that it's worth using. I'm waiting for that guardian angel of mine to suddenly appear. But guardian angel... Yeah.
I mean, weak game overall in terms of eliminations, as opposed to what usually RRQ can pull off, because we do tend to see more eliminations out of Dutz. He's very proficient on the AC-80, especially with the passive skills that he brings in as well, right? He's got the Maro, he's got the Luna for the extra firing rate whenever the connections do hit, and he is quite the sharpshooter. Brings in a weird combo with the passives as well, with the pet to be the grenadier of the squad. If he had participated as much in those eliminations, I think we would have seen much more out of RRQ, but I think we'll take this. It's a good start overall. They do end up in that #1 spot, and of course, Ma'al walking away with the MVP. Total of 4 eliminations with the typical sniper build, right? Except he's dropped out the Raphael, he's replaced it with the Suzy just for those extra coins.
I think this early on, it's a really great, it's a great idea to kind of change things up a little bit for the team. Okay, good start for RRQ here, right? It's Bermuda, it's game #1. Game #2 is Kalahari. Does RRQ have the potential to be able to bring this momentum into game #2 and potentially be the first team to get 2 booyahs? Because we know right now no team has secured 2 booyahs in a day, let alone a back-to-back booyah. Just based off of what we have seen from RRQ today, do you think they're going to be able to pull it off for this next matchup?
High probability. I think RRQ is just one of those squads who's really proficient when it comes to those rotations. When it comes to moving from compound to compound, no team does it better than RRQ. At one point of time, it was definitely Buriram on the Southeast Asian platform, but RRQ was always supreme at getting those rotations done, right? Now when you throw in some of, LATAM in, you throw in some of these Western squads who are able to take the fight up to the east, then the story changes just a little bit. I have to highlight as well, the LATAM squads are doing exceptionally well in the competition.
Yeah, the LATAM teams, I have to say, I think they could be the X factor that kind of throws off some of our potential favorites in the competition, because we have to remember this is an inter-regional event. We have teams from regions that don't normally play together playing in the same tournament. In particular, LATAM, Brazil playing with our Asian teams. Like, yes, we do these in international events, but for most of the year, these teams don't really get to play with each other. And I kind of feel like LATAM and Brazil, Fluxo, they're last year's champions, but I really feel like they could be, like the region in particular could basically steal another title away from Asia, as long as they can try to catch some of these Asian teams off guard, because there is still this level of respect by all teams from every region that they give to the Thai teams, even though these teams are not currently holding world championship titles from last year. So I feel like this could be something that really just all our Asian teams.
Absolutely, and I think it's a brilliant debut for Nova Legion. Walking into game #1, they take the 2nd spot, almost struck the booyah. If they had the numbers on their side, it would have been phenomenal, right? And we have to acknowledge as well, Nova Legion almost got wiped out in the very first circle itself. Within the first 2 minutes, they were taking a heavy firepower, and thankfully that recovery was not just good, but absolutely sublime, and they went on to pick up massive numbers of eliminations. Remember Cluso, AG Global, he got trapped, and I thought that was going to be the end for them, and we wouldn't get to see LATAM kind of show off much in this Bermuda map, but it was the exact opposite. They walk in and they get the most number of eliminations in the lobby, 13 in total, which was very impressive.
All right, so game 1 is done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. We are done with Bermuda, and we are getting ready to go into Kalahari for our next map matchup. And we already mentioned, AJ and I already talked about this earlier in the broadcast. The Indonesian teams, this is where they are going to thrive. But I think everyone knows this. Everyone knows that all of the Indonesian teams love to play Kalahari. So with this information in mind, how would you play around the Indonesian teams? Because I think they set the gold standard for Kalahari playstyle.
Yeah. So So they definitely were very proficient on Kalahari until Thailand just said, you know what, sit down, boys, we're going to take over this map. And you see a lot of proficiency coming in from Thailand, but we also do have to respect Movistar R7 out of Mexico, right? They proved themselves yesterday. They have taken a lot of opportunities on this Kalahari. You got to respect the rotations out of Movistar R7. You know, great consistency in the squad overall, and one of the more impressive plays were on Kalahari. So this is definitely something that we got to look out here for. As far as Indonesia and Kalahari is concerned, I just think EVOS needs to use this to step it back up, because this is where Russia truly shines.
If I was Russia, I think I'd probably want to hide a little bit more, because you're going to have a target on your head. I think that goes without saying. This is probably the man to watch out for in Kalahari, as we are getting ready for Kalahari here, folks. We've just finished up Bermuda. If you missed out on match number 1, RRQ is setting the stage here for day number 2 after securing our first booyah of the day. So strong start for the team so far. They're looking good, but we still are waiting to see if RRQ is considered a top contender, because they labeled themselves as an underdog, which I personally don't agree. I do think this is still considered a top tier team. It's just they're probably not being looked at as much as Falcons, for example, and to a certain degree EVOS and Buriram. So I think RRQ, they still need to be very careful, because if they are going to think of themselves as an underdog in the tournament, I'm scared this mindset could get them killed unnecessarily on a map, because they think that they're harmless. They expect everyone to think they're harmless, but that's not quite the case.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous that RRQ calls themselves the underdogs, right? It's just,
right?
It does not fit. The description definitely doesn't fit what the team is capable of doing. We've got a video as well for your delight, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We've got ABAX here with some spicy words. Let's see exactly what the good sir has to say.
So, coba kalian bisa adaptasi nggak di sini, karena soalnya kemarin kita di Brazil susah banget buat adaptasi dengan makanan, cuaca di sana. Nah, sekarang kalian cobain di sini di tanah kita. Sangat berbeda jamnya, makanannya. Kemarin gue dengar makanan Indonesia dia nggak suka. Dia mesennya McD mulu. Dia nggak suka makanan Indonesia karena pedes. Ya buat haters ya tetap ngehujat kita. Semoga hujatan kalian nggak bakal capek ngasih ke kita, karena itu kata-kata salah satu motivasi buat kita. Thank you bro, semangat terus. Semoga dosa kalian makin banyak.
Shots have been fired. EVOS taking a dig at Fluxo of all teams.
That wasn't even a dig. I think the Indonesians are just showing off that they are as spicy as their food. So I think I'd be a little bit careful there, right? Because if you stoke the flames for some of these teams, you could be inviting an unwanted guest in your house. But, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we are ready to jump into Kalahari. The teams are ready to go. The Indonesians are ready to go. All our participating teams are ready to go. Folks, who do you think is going to grab our second booyah of the day? We'll find out right now, but let's fly into Kalahari.
That's exactly who gets to dominate the desert sands out here at Kalahari as we kick off game number 2 on day number 2 of our knockout stage.
This is the number
a total
2.
of 6 days here at the knockouts. Each team gets to play 4 out of those 6 days. You technically don't have a lot of opportunities at all. Yes, 24 sounds like a lot when you start, but as you start going through those matches, they dwindle down really, really quick. You can ask WAG about that. You can even ask EVOS about that. You know, they really, are quite experienced in the group stage of the Southeast Asian leg. They didn't really fare all that too well.
Speaking of not faring too well, we might be seeing a little bit of action on confinement over there, AJ. We've got NVL and HEV actually fighting over that singular compound. So we could be seeing some names hit the dust, some players being sent back to the aircraft. But we are seeing here RRQ camped out at their favorite spot. They're back in Refinery. This is the place that this team knows and loves. And we'll have to see if anyone decides to compete for that spot later on, as Kabi is the first one to be down there.
Yeah, and Hope versus Hope versus the whole squad of Movistar. Until Liku shows up, Games King. Oh, sliver of health left on him, P90. Liku has the advantage here, goes in for the spray, gets the fantastic knock. I have to say, Redcliffe has been very impressive, albeit they did not manage to get very far in that first game. But their engagements look a little sharper than Redhawks, which is quite a big surprise to me.
I mean, if they keep fighting like this, I think it will absolutely pay off for the team. Yeah, so Redcliffe, they pick up 2 eliminations. We've just started the round. Could be a good sign for the team if they can also just stabilize. And I think something that could maybe hold Redcliffe's back is you kind of fight into everybody, but if you're too reckless, then you might just be throwing your entire team away and ending your run for the round. So at least they've got their 2 elims, and we'll see what Redcliffe's decide to do here, if they maybe want to try and compete for Refinery or if they want to play along the outer edge. Now, speaking of other teams, we do have EVOS here looking to shoot out hot shots. Almost went for action, but no, a little bit too late on the trigger there. But we do have another shot there. Oh, Rasia doing Rasia things.
Well, Coach Hill is right in front of Dowley. Taking a couple of pops shouldn't be too difficult here. And this is Clear Vision Esports about to get annihilated. 2 games back-to-back super early. Not a good sign at all. And it looks like they can't get away. Rasia has got a pretty deadlock on them with the VSK. They do manage to hop on away. Probane does get tagged from afar. Younes is holding back just to see if or not he can buy a little bit of time for the rest of his team members. And he sacrifices himself for the greater good. Question is, what can the rest of the Clear Vision Esports players do with the extra time their buddy has given them? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, Fluxos decided to end their run, so Clear Vision, they thought they were free, but you know, sometimes you just launch yourself in the wrong direction and you basically feed yourselves into the mouths of another potential predator in that lobby. So first team gone, 11 teams remaining, but already a great start here for EVOS. And actually, there are still some other teams that are doing rather well in the lobby, but I think EVOS, I think a lot of teams are expecting EVOS to do well, and the numbers, they're kind of proving them all right. You know, EVOS are currently the kings of Kalahari for this round.
And Clear Vision again with the early exit. Unfortunate for them. They only picked up 1 point on Bermuda. And barely anything in this matchup, so we'll have to wait and see what they can do with the rest of those 4 opportunities. Hacks with the stop. But Liku with the revive before he gets shut down. So quick fingers right there for the Redcliffe players. And this just happened to be the same issue that the Redhawk squad was facing as well. Great start with the initial engagement, and then they fizzle out fairly quickly after that. I just think Bangladesh needs more time on the global stage just to get used to the very, very different pace that we have from some of these other regions here.
Yeah, very, very fast paced, unfortunately. Teams just constantly moving. As we've got Kuslo on the screen, just gonna loot up a little bit and then regroup with the team. Oh, but Floki has been caught in the backside thanks to Games King, who's able to get a very sneaky elimination. A bit of a very sneaky elim. Oh, Sebas has been caught as well, down to 30 health, is able to try and recover, but you can see Movie Stars in the background looking to finish him off if they can catch his head. Just the top of his head is all that they need, but he's able to juke them out so far. So Sebas, but he gets caught anyway, thanks to Della.
Well, let's see if or not Nova Legion can find the recovery, because once again, they've had a very hot start, but heavy up against EVOS. A great one, as they don't manage to bump into that little Oscar. Valiant dash for nothing, but don't cry. The timing is bad here. Ray spots him, Charge Buster takes him down, and that leads them straight into E1 spots. I don't know if it was intentional, but they've been baited in. EVOS needs to get the heck out of here.
Either get the heck out or just go the heck in, because you can see Ray jumping into the fray as well, and they managed to get it down there onto Vittini. So EVOS, I think they're comfortable trying to fight into this, but they have to find a clear point of entry into the team, because E1 is going to keep themselves within that compound for now, and so far it is keeping them rather well protected. And you can see right now Rasia trying to see, okay, can I get into position to maybe punish someone instead? Catching vision of another player on his side. So I think Rasia just wanted to make sure he's covered on all angles to make sure that he's not picked off while he's trying to go for these snipes.
EVOS 10 eliminations on the Bermuda map, and they are already at 6 on the 6th minute here. And Redcliffe, just like Red Hawks, hot start and a quick fizzle out. I think they need to replace some of their vendors for their little flame here. Because, you know, sometimes when you buy the wick and the wick is bad, your oil lamp doesn't burn as bright and as long. I don't know if anyone gets the analogy. I don't know how many of you guys light lamps at home, but their wick is definitely bad.
Yeah, just not,
you don't
not
get
the best game. What do you mean? Yes, I do.
You don't light lamps at home.
I don't.
You're old.
What do you mean?
You're old.
I know what an oil lamp is. Thanks,
you know what it is, but you don't light it.
I don't need to light it. I press the button and then there's light.
Amen. Amen. Alan, a little bit of a risk here. Riptide Rhythm sent out from the side of Heavy up against Fluxo. He's got them flanked out already, which is in trying to fish one out. And Alan can not move anywhere at all. But the setup from Heavy is such where if they do try to take Alan out, the rest of them can back him up. Alan, one more tag, and Bobs gets it done with the Winchester.
Bops them out of the air. So Heavy not feeling too happy themselves either, because now they know they're at risk of potentially being rushed upon by another team. And, you know, Bobs, he's going to be the one to set the tone for the rest of the team. But actually, Butson is there as well. So Fluxo wanting to leave a mark on the map, grab some eliminations. If they get rid of Heavy as well, this will secure their position at command post. And look how quickly they are trying to get on top of this team. Heavy is now panicking. They're hiding in that building. Butson's playing on the rooftop. The rest of the team has made it through. All it takes is for one head to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Some trick shots here from the jump out of the window. But on the other end, Movistar R7 moving down the players on the side of EVOS. 6 eliminations already as they break down these blue walls, ripping away lives. EVOS trying to find some way to survive this encounter. And Heavy, on the other hand, I thought they were successful running away from the players of Fluxo, but all 3 fall. One final survivor. Can they find some sort of a miracle here? We missed that whole bout, and Kabi got away with a sliver of his health still left on himself.
Yeah, but this is such a big task on one player alone, so it would be a miracle for Heavy to be able to mount any reasonable comeback in this matchup. I mean, he's got a vehicle for now, so he'll try and hunt around and see if he can bring his teammates back. Rasia, though, about to be jumped on by the entire roster of Movistar's R7, and they've caught him. And that is it. EVOS is out of the lobby.
It's unfortunate this time they just got hunted down. Did manage to play that Bermuda map fairly well, and luck just wasn't on their side this time, as they got hunted down by one of the best, Movistar R7. They were upset with their placement points early on after having such a heated battle. 12 eliminations on Bermuda, and Barros Chinai both down. And Cypher looking for some way out of this. There is a vending machine in the compound. Getting to it is going to be the problem, and Tikui gets there first, just to make sure he brings PLS1 back, and at the very same time, make sure Cypher does not get the revival. Cypher reaches M590. PLS1 taken down. One more shot needed, and Tikui, with a sliver of health, does manage to sneak on away. No vending machine placed just yet from Cypher. Both players on that medkit. Grenade's not going to meet him just yet. Up top, and Tikui down.
Beautiful play from Cypher. I love how aggressive Cypher is. Like, he knows what strings to pull. He knows his absolute limits. Oh, absolutely crazy. We've got Do here with Cyrus, where he does manage to finish him off there. So that's going to be another point going into the pocket of AG Global. And actually, glad that we've got AG Global on the screen here, because this team, unfortunately, for round number 1, completely bombed out. So if they want to keep their mark on that leaderboard, they're going to have to try and have a reasonably good round number 2. Yeah. Because if they bomb out here, this is going to do some pretty serious damage to their overall ranking points.
And WAG, even today, they don't seem to be finding a lot of luck out there on the battlefield. They were one of the teams that was struggling yesterday. And the story seems to continue in here. Unless, of course, Xborg can pull off some sort of a miracle. Vending Machine's just ahead of him with the whole squad of AG Global circling around. Somebody needs to use the binoculars or somehow spot out Xborg, because just that free point just sitting there, and it looks like AG Global will say bye-bye to WAG, and the team will get to survive at least another couple of circles.
Yeah, Chino not being too thorough with his final scout. So we're moving on as we are still in the running here for round number 2 here, ladies and gentlemen, on Kalahari. We still have 9 teams in the running, so we have already lost a few teams in the earlier stages of Kalahari. But at the moment, I think we have a pretty established team currently leading the charge, especially with the number of eliminations that have been going on in this round. We've been seeing a lot of fighting happening, and we could potentially see another one here with 2 major teams. Fluxo about to encroach onto RRQ territory, and the thing is, RRQ, they are gatekeeping that circle. So Fluxo, they're going to have to take that compound by force, and if they do try to fight for that particular compound, it's going to get very bloody.
Hotshot needs to stay safe as long as possible. Heavy on the right, AG on the left. E1 Sports in shooting distance as well. Glue UAV sent out just to barricade that doorway. Make sure it blocks out a couple of extra shots. But Cypher cooking up the nade already. Just needs a perfect toss in, and Hotshots might just lose a couple of players and open them up for a quick rush. AG Global looking for some massive elimination points early on.
Oh, it's a very scary moment. Hotshots, AG, oh, even E1 shooting at Hotshots as well. So poor Hotshots really just on the receiving end of all of these bullets and damage and grenades. They're actually abandoning their compound as well. I think after seeing Heavy just leave theirs, and actually they're going to try and go for a fight to fight into Heavy, but instead they lose their own players. Big mistake there for Hotshots. To be fair, I think they had to make that risky play happen. But on the other side, though, WAG have been eliminated in 9th place. Yeah, just a really rough game here for Hotshots. They're trying to find some kind of freedom, some kind of room to move with, but they're really just stuck in between all of these major teams.
Della? Oh, Della actually survived that with a sliver of health left on him. Brilliant pickup from the side of Movistar R7. Games King saving Della. And now full squad again. This is going to gear up Movistar R7 for a potential booyah here, but 8 more squads left. Circle goes towards Movistar R7. This cannot get better.
No, it cannot. This game is basically telling Movistars this is going to be your game. But can Movistars R7 basically finish this match safely? Because they're still having to deal with 6 other teams in this lobby, and we've got Heavy moving on to the high ground here. Hotshots are out, so we're now down to our top 6 teams, and now it looks like Fluxo finally going to try and take this compound away from RRQ, and you can see RRQ gripped up on that 2nd level. They're hoping Fluxo come in from that low ground. This could be a mistake. All it takes is one grenade, the right shot, but they don't get it. They get jumped on, and the entire team hits the floor. Fluxo delete RRQ, and both of our Indonesian giants have been eliminated from the lobby.
Yeah, that was a swift movement coming through from the players of Fluxo. I'm very sure a couple of grenades were tossed on in there as well. Area of damage, caught multiple players on the side of RRQ, and then the firing squad with those M590s just dropping by to say hello. The VSK as well hitting in hard. Unfortunate for RRQ. They just don't get to contest for the booyah this time round. E1 Sports, though, on the opposite end, looking straight at Fluxo, finding Jiu. Joker looking for that finisher, but the rest of them barricading themselves behind a glue wall. And the attack from E1 Sports and Movistar R7 puts Fluxo in a terrible spot.
Yeah, Movistars, they are in the perfect position with E1 and Fluxo having to fight over the compound, even Heavy hiding in the corner as well. And Movistars, they're not going to be patient. They're saying, okay, we're going to fight into this because we are in such an advantageous position and we'd like to take your compound. Kaibi, though, going to be using that vehicle to drive out and be a second source of cover. But Movistars, Are they really thinking of fighting into this? Because the next circle has been decided. It's going to be going towards that bottom left section of the map. So Movistars, they will have to decide if they want to move with the circle or maybe get ahead of the curve and get around Fluxo first. It's kind of an awkward position now. This is no longer an instant win for Movistars. Their next move here could be where their lives end if they make that wrong decision.
Let's see what the movement is going to be here like. And Movistar R7 taking over as the elimination leaders. They definitely want the booyah here for themselves. They got the previous circle advantage, and now it still fairly is on their side because the concentration of squad is on the opposite end. And Bitten taking out the fire player from the side of Heavy. Mufasa down, and it's going to be Fluxo up against E1 Sports. It's all about the West here on Kalahari.
It is so far. E1, they still have one player on the rooftop, and actually Bitten's going to abandon ship, and instead they're going to play with this small fence line here for E1. So trying to keep themselves away from the competition. So we now have some distance between all three of our top three teams, AJ. Now the question is who gets that first big shot. It can come down to a grenade to maybe flush a team out, or it's going to have to come down to that final circle as we start running out of space. Teams having to run on in, and it could be an eco game. Who has the glue walls?
And who's got the smarts to get this victory? Deep freeze tossed on out here, and it's going to barely tickle the players on the side of E1 Sports.
Everyone's so
on
hesitant.
the other hand, just biding their time. They've got a perfect defensive spot here that does not require them to use up their glue walls. Movistar R7 splitting off into a 2-2 buddy system, and they might just be the ones with the luck here, and Fluxo flies straight into E1 Sports, but on the drop with the Winchester and the M79 annihilates E1 Sports, and Movistar R7 moves on in as well, taking advantage. The third party, only one more to shut down, but they turn on them. E1 Sports holding their ground, but Joker and Della finishes it. And Movistar R7 secures their booyah.
Their patience pays off. They let Fluxo decide the course of the match. Whoever they flew into, that was going to set the tone. And luckily for Movistars, Fluxo, they went to E1. That was all that it took. And if I'm not mistaken, when Fluxo jumped into E1, I think that was almost one or two players instantly downed. Huge crippling move onto E1, and that just opened the floodgates for Movistars to come in and clean things up. So patience was really the play here for Movistars R7.
Yeah, totally nervous when you saw two players on the side of Movistar R7 go down, and it was E1 taking the shots up against them. I was thinking, what in the world is happening? Because Fluxo just hopped on into you, blew your squad up with all of those grenades out of the grenade launcher. You should have been annihilated by now. But that is the strength of E1 Sports, holding their ground, out-surviving Fluxo, and the timing of the backstab from Movistar R7, initially splitting off into two sides and then moving in at the very same time after Fluxo had started off that engagement, was just chef's kiss, guaranteeing them that booyah, but obviously they needed to win out those gunfights as well. Let's take a look at the final engagement, the final shot that granted Movistar R7. See Leon with the double, taking down Hex as well as Games King. But thankfully, Della was there to sort him out. And E1 out, Movistar R7 up. And this, by the way, is their very first booyah.
Their very first booyah, and it could be the gateway to more booyahs for this team. Because Movistar, I have to say, we've just seen 2 games today from this team, and they look brilliant. They really look on point today. They have been hunting down EVOS, and I have to say, I kind of wonder, when EVOS has a moment to sit down, and potentially with the coach as well, if they do have a chance to look at VODs, I think they now have to consider Movistars as a huge team to deal with, because they hunted them down in game number 1 and they hunted them down in game number 2. So EVOS starting to realize this is a dangerous team, but also Movistars are making a name for themselves with the other teams in the lobby as well. So are they an underdog? I don't think so. They definitely play like a top dog at the moment. And if things just keep going the way that they are, if they're not given the respect that they deserve, I feel like they're just going to steamroll the rest of the matches today. Yeah,
I mean, I do expect them to attempt that for sure. I have to say, though, a little upset that Nova Legion did not get to continue the phenomenal streak, because Bermuda was a great play where we saw them kind of come out of the gates bursting, showing what they're capable of picking up here on the battlefield. Unfortunately, in Kalahari, that didn't really last all that too long. A little bit too much of aggression taken out of the equation. Let's take a look at the game settings and see how they fared, because Nova Legion, although they had taken off so early on, the aggression of 9 eliminations that they picked up still just put them in a decent spot, the total of 12 points. But focusing on the Booyah squad, Movistar R7, 26 points in total. E1 Sports with 19 out of 10 eliminations and 9 placement points. Fluxo kind of gave their spot away to All Gamers Global here because of those eliminations that was kind of on the low. Although AG got taken out first, they still overtake them on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I have to say though, AJ, really glad that this is not such a top-heavy leaderboard today. I think it just goes to show how competitive this lobby is. That everyone competing today is very capable of grabbing a booyah, of being able to take down each and every team competing. But our overall standings is going to tell a better story of what is currently happening for today. And Movistars are currently leading with 43 points. And it's a significant lead too, because E1, next team down, 36 points. And Nova Legion, hello, 34 points, third place.
Yeah. This is fantastic. This is phenomenal. This is what we need to see. And at this point, I am just going to bring the conversation back. It is once again the East